Hey everybody, it's Lucidity. Welcome back to the channel. Today will be the last time that I will be talking about my study abroad in Japan in 2010. I want to wrap it up because there are going to be some changes to this channel and I'm going to talk about that much more in the next video. So, it's been a while, but where we last left off was at the end of April, and I'm going to be talking about my last month in Japan, which will be the month of May. So the beginning of the month of May started with my friend coming over to visit me during Golden Week, and we had a lot of fun and a lot of crazy adventures. And I actually have a couple of videos where you can see that time that I was in Japan with him, and I also have some videos where I talked about some of the shenanigans that we went up to when he was there. So you can check those out after you're done watching this video. But I think the real turning point of my time when I was in Japan was when I met my friend Matt. And I actually met my friend in a YouTube meetup back in Osaka. Matt was an ALT, so an assistant language teacher, at a elementary school in Osaka, which means he assisted the teacher in the lessons, English lessons, and he really did enjoy his job with the kids. But his roommate was leaving to return back to the US. His contract had finished earlier than his, and he was moving into a new apartment and he was going to be alone. And I was going through my own stuff at Kansai Gaidai. I had gotten bullied. A couple of my friends were no longer talking to me, and the other friends I still had left over I wasn't super close with. So we both were in need of friends, and I think we just sort of clicked instantly. I remember the thing he told me during that meetup was that he knew the best place in Osaka to get pizza. Now, he's from New Jersey and I'm from New York, so pizza is a big part of our lives. And he said that he knew a place in Osaka where the pizza was almost as good as it is in New York. So that's a pretty tall order, and we ended up meeting the next weekend after the meetup, and he took me to a pretty good pizza spot, I have to say. Now, if you remember, Kansai Gaidai is sort of in the midway point between Kyoto and Osaka. It's on the Keihan line, and it's in a city called Hidakatashi, so it's part of Osaka Prefecture, but not the city. He was living in the city of Osaka. So by that point, I was going to visit him every weekend. I would take the Keihan line into the city and then take the JR line to where he lived in Bentensho, and we just started hanging out every weekend. One of the first things we did is he brought me to a rooftop party with some of his acquaintances or friends, and they were playing the Wii, and this was back in 2010, so I think it was just the original Wii, on top of a roof in the city of Osaka where you can see the whole city at night. And it was really cool, and I remember somebody was showing me magic tricks, and I had a really good time. And then I almost missed the train. So in Japan, there's like the last train is at midnight, or sometimes a little after midnight. So I was going home, and basically I had missed my train to Hidakatashi proper. It was the train that would actually bring me closest to my dorm, so I think that would be Makino. But there was a Hidakatashi station, which was the main station. It was a bit of a longer walk, and both those trains had gone. And then I'm sitting there at the station not knowing what I'm going to do, and all of a sudden pops up the last train, and it said it was leaving at 12:30, and it was going to Hidakatashi. So I think it was like a 15-minute walk from Makino, but like a 45-minute walk from Hidakatashi station, and I was like, okay, don't care. That brings me close enough to home, and I got home at like 3 a.m. And that was a lesson learned. Don't miss the midnight train, or you're going to be stranded in a city of Osaka. Or anywhere, really. We also went to the Suizukan, which is the aquarium in Osaka, and we saw Jinbei Same, which is the Japanese word for whale sharks. And it was way before Finding Dory, so I fell in love with whale sharks then. He also showed me Taiko no Tatsujin, and there was an arcade near his house, and we would go play. Oh, he loved crane games, I think, and we would play the crane games, and we would also play Taiko no Tatsujin, and that was a lot of fun. And you actually can get that game on the Switch now, and when I found that out, I was super excited because I love that game. Essentially, it's like playing Guitar Hero, but with the taiko drums, which are traditional Japanese drums. But I think my favorite memory of hanging out with Matt is when I went to his place and he had a hot plate and we made yakiniku, and I think we also made okonomiyaki. And either way, we watched Lucky Star, which is an anime, and it's like a slice of life anime, and it's really good. And we just gorged on meats and watched. Did we make yakisoba? I don't remember, but hot plates are cool, and we made a lot of delicious Japanese food and watched a really cool show. And it's like those simple moments that you get with friends that I think can make a big difference. So my last day in Japan was actually super wild because for whatever reason I thought it was a smart idea to carry way more stuff than I could actually physically hold on my own across like 2 or 3 train stations. And I do actually talk about this in an older video, so I will also link that and you can hear that story as well. Basically, I made a whole bunch of weird decisions when I was 20, so that's what this series is about, I guess. So at the end of that story, the place that I was going to was my friend Matt's apartment. And I spent the last night with him, and then the next morning I went to the airport. I spent the last night hanging out with him, and then the next morning I went to the airport, and it was kind of bittersweet ending to my time in Japan because it felt like just when I was getting my footing, I had to leave, and that was kind of sad. He was an ALT. I really wanted to come back to Japan as an ALT and not as a student, so that I wasn't struggling with money and I actually could support myself, and I did end up doing that when I came back and lived in Nagoya. But that was a whole nother experience full of its own craziness that we will not get into at this point in time, at least. So thank you for watching these series of videos. I know they weren't super popular, but I just wanted to give some of my experience and explain the background of some of my old videos. But I also hope you learned something, and I look forward to making history videos with you in the future. So, goodbye for now, and I'll see you next week to let you know more about the future of this channel.